and welcome back to Monster Minis. Today I'm going to be working on the Luke Skywalker Operative expansion from Star Wars Legion. So far all the Legion models that I've assembled have had very little flashing. This one just needed a little cleanup. Legion is a fun scale to work in. It's small enough that you don't have to focus on really large details, and yet it's big enough that you can do some pretty cool effects. I assembled a few other Legion models when I was working on this Luke Skywalker, so I decided to go ahead and prime all these at the same time. So you'll see these in this video, but you won't see them completed until an upcoming video. I'm going to be using Ammo's one-shot primer, both black and white. I found that this thins much better with an airbrush thinner rather than Vallejo's Flow Improver, so that's what I use with the pipette. I'm going to give these guys a heavy coat of black, make sure it gets into all of the nooks and crannies. That will act as the shadow for the upcoming paint effects. I decided to paint Luke's head separately, which ended up being a really good decision, as you'll see later. Now I'm going to come in with the white primer and hit it from the top with the zenithal highlight. A lot of times I don't even use this, but as far as the painting's concerned, but I really like how it gives basically a roadmap of what to paint. When it hits all the high areas, when you come back in with the paintbrush or whatever the next effect is, it's easy to see what the next step should be. Next up, we're going to do Luke's face. This is Ammo's skin range. We start with a dark brown and then come back in with the burnt sand. We'll then highlight that with the warm skin tone, and then the final highlight will be the basic skin tone. And depending upon how much I like it, I may come back with a white as well, going to thin this with the Vallejo Airbrush Flow Improver. So the base coat for Luke's face, I'm going to come in with the darkest of the skin colors. It looks really chocolatey when it goes on. And then once that's covered, I'm going to come back with the next color and start to highlight from the top down. I knew that I was going to do an LED for Luke's lightsaber on this model, and that was going to throw a lot of light reflected up on his face. So I had to make some decisions around, did I want to paint his skin in a standard lighting, or should I change the tone of his skin knowing that this model is going to be displayed with the lightsaber on in most cases, and he'll be lit from below from the lightsaber. Whenever I go to the next color that I'm going to use, I like to leave a little bit of the previous color in the pot when I mix it in. That way it will blend much better when it goes onto the model, and it isn't as stark of a change. It keeps the temperature change much more consistent. Here's the final highlight color that's going to go onto his skin. It's really going to catch the bridge of his nose, his eyebrows, his cheeks. And it wasn't highlighted enough for me, so I decided to throw a little white in there and hit it one more time to really punch it up. So I set the head aside to dry and decided to come in with the Secret Weapon Miniatures Soft Body Black. I really like these. Their acrylic washes is how they're marketed, but I really like to use them more as glazes. I don't have to thin them at all. I just go on, and this zenithal highlight that's already on Luke's body here, when it takes this soft body black glaze, really does a good job looking like his Return of the Jedi outfit. I really liked how it kept the highlights and the folds and a lot of the work that I'd already done with the airbrush. And this just changed the temperature to that black outfit. I really liked how it went on. I used the same colors for Luke's hand that I used on his head, but nowhere near as complicated in the highlighting pattern. It's actually a lighter skin tone that goes on first. So this was where I had to make a tough decision around what to do with his skin color, knowing the lightsaber was going to be lit up. So I decided to come in here with the Secret Weapon Miniatures Flesh Wash and change the tone of his skin into more of a yellow brown and knock down some of those really aggressive highlights that I'd done with the airbrush. I'm going to be using Ammo's Outlining Black for Luke's boots, as well as his utility belt, and the hilt of the lightsaber. I decided to paint the utility pouches on Luke's belt in a leather color. I really liked the contrast that the browns provided against the black and the grays. Using Ammo's silver from the metallic acrylic color range to highlight the lightsaber itself, as well as the belt buckle. Ammo's field gray highlight seemed like it would be the perfect color for the inner flap on Luke's jacket. That goes in as the base coat, and then a little bit of white to brighten it up and highlight the middle of the flap. I was really torn on whether or not to attempt to paint any eyes, because the scale's small enough where you don't really need to. But I figured this was Luke Skywalker. It was going to be a hero model on any table that it fought on. So I got out my Psycho from Army Painter that has the smallest tip imaginable, and then went in here with the white to try to paint it in, and had the happiest of accidents where I got the eyeball in there and it happened to have an iris with it because the bristles were a little bit separated. So I will always take a happy accident when it comes to painting an eye. I decided I probably did want to darken Luke's head a little bit more, knowing that the lightsaber was coming. So I got out the black enamel wash from Ammo and really just wanted this to go sit in the recesses of his hair. Hair still wasn't completely unified because it still was light in the front from his skin and then a little bit darker in the back. So I used the dark sepia wash from Secret Weapon Miniatures on his hair to unify his hair color and get it to a more consistent color. I found a 3-volt green LED filament that seemed like the perfect size and color for a lightsaber in the Legion miniature scale. So once I had the positive and the negative soldered to the filament, I hooked it up to some AA batteries so that I could test my circuit. I've had these KS Precision Metals brass rods in my collection for quite a while, and I hadn't really used them. But this was a perfect opportunity to mount this brass tube behind Luke, and I'm going to use that to hide the wires, to run the wires down into the base where the battery housing will be. Well, moment of truth, no going back now. It's time to snip the lightsaber off. I tried to use gel-based super glue to attach the filament to the lightsaber hilt, and it just wasn't strong enough to hold. And then unfortunately off camera, I settled on using hot glue to actually hold the filament in place. Spent more time trying to figure out how to power this lightsaber than I did actually building the model. I wanted this Luke to be able to be a functional player piece in a Legion game and not have him dragging his cords along with him to light up his lightsaber. So I decided to settle on a coin battery holder that luckily fit perfectly inside the Legion base. The coin battery holder also eliminated the need for a switch in this circuit. Now if you want the lightsaber off, you simply remove the battery. The positive terminal on this coin battery holder is actually located on the outside of it. So I had to drill a hole in the base to run the positive wire up over the top to connect, whereas the negative wire connects under the base. And since the positive wire was running along the top of the base, I decided to hide that with some flocking. The army that this model is going to fight in is going to be the Endor Cleanup crew, so I decided to go with grass flocking and flowers to match the Endor theme. When I do another one of these, I think I'm going to do something different about the wire that runs down the bottom of the filament. But in this one, I just got out a green that I thought would match the color and painted it green. I used Ammo's Dio dry brush paint to paint the pipe. My thinking was that Luke is walking through Endor and finds an old pipe sticking up out of the ground and cuts it with his lightsaber. Once I was happy with the paint, I gave everything a coat of varnish with Ammo's Ultra Matte Lucky Varnish. I wanted to hide the wires that were coming out of the metal pipe, so I separated a cotton ball and then used Ammo's Field Gray to just give it a steam color. I wanted it to look like Luke had sliced this exhaust pipe and steam came out of it after he cut it. And then I just ran it along the wires with super glue. The last step was to add Ammo's gloss varnish to his boots to give him that campaign boot shine. Thank you so much for watching, and here is the finished miniature.